Let me get a drink real quick. Hello and welcome. My name is Rebecca and I am here to share my hypothyroidism story with you and how I've been able to lose over 60 pounds despite my hypothyroidism and multiple other conditions that we don't have time to talk about today. So I'm going to get right to it. So I was first diagnosed with hypothyroidism about 5 or 6 years ago. After having Taylor, who is 9, I just had, the normal kind of dips and fluctuations in my energy that I just kind of wrote off as, new mommyhood. At the same time, I was building a business and we had just bought a house. So I was under a tremendous amount of stress trying to, navigate new motherhood, having a new business, having a new home, and all the other things associated with that, on top of dealing with my own sort of emotional trauma, which I have actually shared on my IGTV. So definitely follow me on IG and you can check those out as well if you're interested. But basically, I'll start by sharing with you my symptoms and what really led me up to actually seeking help. So I definitely was super fatigued. I literally had to live off of coffee, and I would have multiple cups of coffee with lots of sugar in it multiple times throughout the day. And that is not good. But I just was so tired that it's the only thing that kept me up to be able to run my business, to take care of the home, which I really did a crappy job at the home part. I gotta tell you, like laundry for days and like cleaning was like, what? Why do we even need to clean, And so I was definitely struggling there. But I was doing good at my business, I gotta say. And actually too good, because I started to volunteer and do other things, because I guess didn't feel like just having my business was enough, that I also had to volunteer and I had to create community events and I had to just do all of these things. And it was really stressful to keep up. And I remember doing like being at 5Ks, and I would go get, like, they always have like a coffee machine, when we could actually do 5Ks in person, not virtually, which I kind of love the virtual ones too. But anyway, I would just keep getting like the free coffee and just filling up and filling up and filling up just to like get me through. And I came to a point to where like I was just so tired that I would like have to like lay on the couch and just turn Dora on. And I was that was disappointing, because I always said I would never let the TV babysit my child. Like, I was not going to be that kind of mom, And I did, because I was so freaking tired that like I couldn't, like I just needed a rest, and I could never actually nap, like, have you ever experienced that where you're tired and you want to nap but you can't sleep? I was like wired and tired basically. And it was like the kind of fatigue that was like, I literally couldn't get up. Like, it was almost like paralyzed. I've actually experienced some sleep paralysis during that time too, which is kind of scary, because you literally like can't get out of bed. And I was also experiencing a lot of anxiety. And you're like, well, girl, you've been drinking that much coffee. Of course you're going to experience that much anxiety, right? Which does definitely contribute. But the breaking point for me was that I was in the Bahamas on a family vacation and had a panic attack. And it was one that like lasted for days. Like, I could not like really get a hold on it. These dogs are playing right now, so I'm sorry if you hear them. And having a panic attack when I literally have no responsibility and I'm there just to enjoy the time with my family was like a huge red flag. Like, and that's where I realized that I was so go all the time that I never really got a chance to relax. So then when I did relax, my anxiety went through the roof. And I had experienced bouts of anxiety since I had Taylor, which I just thought was like, more of just like a new mom thing. And I didn't really relate that to hypothyroidism. Often that's actually connected to hyperthyroidism, which is why I truly believe, even though I wasn't tested, I had the postpartum thyroiditis that basically goes between hyper and hypothyroidism, but then got stuck with hypothyroidism. And so I decided I'm going to go to the doctor and I'm going to get this checked out, because you should not be having, anxiety in the Bahamas. Hello? No, that should not be happening. And plus, I definitely was struggling to lose weight. I, like I said, was really tired all the time. I had brain fog, couldn't really concentrate. And those were like my main symptoms that I had. So I go to the doctor and they do like a full blood workup, comes out, yes, your thyroid levels are super off. And they weren't as bad as I've heard. Like my TSH was like at 11 point something, and I have a client who actually had like a 30 something. And so I felt kind of like lucky that it wasn't that bad, but it was still above that 4.9. That's like the high range for normal, if we will. Which often a lot of people have these symptoms, go get tested, and they actually don't even come back that there's anything wrong with the thyroid. So then again, I'm kind of fortunate that like it did show up, because I know a lot of people are struggling out there and don't realize that it is hypothyroidism because their labs come back normal. But anyhow, my doctor wanted to first put me on medication, and I am like, have always been like anti-medication. I just feel like our bodies have the ability to heal itself, and through like the research and education that I've had over the last 15 years. And I just knew that, and I believe that in my heart that our body can heal. And so I was like, no, I'm not going to take the medication. I'm just going to, you know, maybe make some changes, which I didn't do. And I'm going to see a naturopathic doctor, which I did do. But although she was great at certain things, but her recommendation was to take a supplement, but only when I felt like it. I don't want to take pills, period. So I'm never going to feel like it. So that wasn't great advice. And so I did that, you know, like took the pill occasionally. I don't remember what the thyroid supplement was, but anyway, go back to the doctor and there's no change, because I was still completely stressed out with all the things that I was doing. And I just decided at that point, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and take the medication. So I started taking the medication, which kind of gave me anxiety about even taking a pill, but it helped. And luckily, again, I was able to take a medication that worked. I know a lot of people who like have it sometimes struggle to find the right dosage of medication, and also like might be taking multiple medications. I only have to take one medication. Now over the last few years it has increased slightly. Like when I was first diagnosed, I was at like 88 and now I'm at 112. And so I, you know, took the medication and it did help with my symptoms. So I was like kind of surprised, I guess, like, oh wow, like this really is a thing. And but the thing that did not change is my weight. I still did not lose any weight. So if you are someone who thinks that just taking the medication for hypothyroidism is going to just give you your weight loss, it just isn't the case. Unless, of course, you actually pair that with some healthy habits and you were already kind of doing those things. I know for myself, even though I'm eating healthy, I was still overeating. And again, I was really stressed out and dealing with these emotional triggers. And I wasn't handling them very well, we'll say. But I started taking the medication. I to see a therapist, and so I worked on some of the emotional trauma and things that I was experiencing. And still for a couple years, I just like was able to lose some of the weight. It's like I got like 30 pounds of it off, but just really couldn't seem to get the other off. And so I really started to think that maybe it will never happen because I have hypothyroidism, and that's like such a huge thing. My anxiety definitely went away, but not from the medication. That was definitely on doing some cognitive behavioral therapy and also adjusting how much caffeine I was taking. I experienced adrenal fatigue basically, and like I've shared in my hormones video, there is such a correlation between adrenals and thyroid, and really the whole endocrine system. It all works together. So if one's off, something else is off. So really making sure that I focus on like balancing all of my hormones and balancing my endocrine system in general definitely helped. But when it came down to the weight, I really just had to start tracking my calories and get into a caloric deficit, and a reasonable one like I do with my clients. No 1200 calorie diets, no crazy extreme cardio sessions or anything like that, and continue to work on the other things. And so I did stop volunteering. Damn, this dog. They make an appearance somehow in every video that I do, I swear. But anyway, I love them, but they are just, they were good. They were like chilling on the couch, having a good time, and then like Desiree probably wants to play, so then they play. So anyway, getting back to what I was doing. So I did end up, yeah, so for the weight loss, when it came down to it, I really, you know, did start counting calories. I got into a really good exercise routine that was realistic for me. At the time, I started off doing 9 round 2 days a week and then just walking at different times throughout the week, basically whenever I could fit it in. Eventually my family and I all got onto a good schedule of actually doing family hikes once or twice a week, depending on the week and the time of year. And we still do that now, which is really amazing. It actually started during a holiday, which was really cool. But anyway, basically did that. And I also started doing a lot of reading. I have read so many books, you know, personal development books, spirituality books, watched lots of shows and different things that really kind of inspired me. Still continue to work with my therapist, doing journaling. I've even hired coaches myself and just got support where I needed in order to really lose the weight, because I really wanted to lose the weight and I did not want to just accept the fact that it's from my thyroid. Again, it's one of those things like that I feel like when we get diagnosed with something, I don't want to fight it. I don't want to be a warrior of it. I don't want to be a victim. I don't want to be a survivor. I just want to be a liver of life. Not a liver, like a liver, but like to just live and be me, you know, just be me and live my life and do the things that I want to do and feel the way that I want to feel. And so with that, and let me back up real quick, because what I had tried before, also to like help with my thyroid, is to go gluten-free, dairy-free, soy-free. I did sugar-free. I did Whole30 a couple times, which you should never do Whole30 more than once, because you know it makes you feel like crap, so stop eating it. We talked about that in the gut issues video, so if you haven't checked that out, definitely check that out. And so anyway, I did all these things. I took all these things out of my diet and still never lost weight. And so when I started to actually just track my calories, I found a really good balance between, I would say I kept those things out of my, you know, diet, as in my nutrition, most of the time, but I lost weight still having bread, still eating ice cream, like pizza and bread basically. I do love sourdough bread, which by the way, sourdough, it has like a special acid in it, starts with a P, phthalate I think or something, that actually is like breaks down the gluten, so it's easier for your body to digest. So people who are gluten sensitive usually can do pretty good with sourdough bread, and plus it freaking tastes amazing. Like there's nothing better than like fresh toasted sourdough, which is like a little bit of grass-fed butter, and I do unsalted butter. It's really delicious. So anyway, I did try to do dietary changes, you know, before I actually was able to lose weight, because I thought if I just took this stuff out of my diet, if I did all this, it would work. And so ultimately, I just came to my own conclusion that this is something that is just part of my journey. And I stopped trying to focus on fixing my thyroid and switched my focus to supporting my thyroid. Because in the grand scheme of things, it's really not that big of a deal if I can take one little pill every day and it actually helps me. Because none of us are like textbook. We all have something, really. I mean, we all have something. And I've got a few of them, but that's all right. Because I believe that these diagnoses are our guides. So we can look at them as limitations and feel like it's such a burden, it's such a negative thing, and how's our body like failing us, you know, because I've had those feelings, and I believe that you should honor those feelings and feel those feelings, but then eventually you got to let that go and work through that. But it's actually a guide, because it has helped me to be healthier. Just like my IBS, when I was diagnosed with that when I was a kid, like I have to work on my nutrition, because if not, then I'm going to be in gut distress. And so these things help us. Even my eyesight, the eyesight condition that I have, it's like I'm like in this, I swear I'm like the queen of balance, because people with Stargardt's, that's the condition I have, they either can see really well during the day or really well at night, and I'm like right in the middle, where like some things are really good in the day and some things are really good at night. And I'm really fortunate that I can see as well as I do and be able to drive and to have business and do all these things that I do with special equipment and devices. But I've always looked at this as a guide, because how I grew up was not great. And my eyesight actually forced me to move to the city where there was public transportation, where I could ride a bus. So had I not had this eyesight condition, I could have stayed and repeated the cycle living in this small town, dealing with all this crap. Now, I knew I was never going to do that. Like, there was something about me that I think that, like, just God was always next to me, or I had guides, something, you know, where it was like I just always knew the difference between right and wrong. And even though I did choose to make some wrong decisions in my life to just avoid the things I was going through, I still ultimately knew it was right. And I knew that one day I was going to break the cycle, and one day I was going to be able to live a great life. But anyway, I just looked at that as a guide to get me out of where I was living. And then it ultimately, you know, led me into massage therapy, and then it ultimately led me into health coaching. And so it's always just led me to the next point. So when we can get diagnosed with this hypothyroidism, if it's something that you've recently got diagnosed with, or even 20 years ago you've been diagnosed with it, you can change your mind about it at any time. And so if you can look at it, it's like, where has it actually improved your life? And what can you do, what can you do, what steps can you take to start changing your mind about that? Because if we look at it as a gift, it just makes our life so much better. Like, we get to choose how we feel and how we think about things and how we perceive our situations. And don't we just want to feel better? So the whole point of that is to say that I just stopped focusing on trying to fix it, and I switched my mindset to supporting it. I believe that our healing journey, whether it's a condition or trauma or anything, is a lifelong journey. And I'm not going to say like my thyroid will never get healed, that I always have to take medication, but my focus is not on that anymore. Just like the scale, my focus is not on the number, it's how I feel and how I look. If I support it and I do these things, over time it may be healed. It takes a long time to balance hormones when they've been out of whack for a long period of time. And considering that I was struggling for 7 years, you know, as an overweight person, you know, that definitely has an impact on my body and my hormones. Like, you just can't deny it. There's the scientific proof. But anyway, I just hope that helps you in some way to just understand that everything that happens is exactly as it should, and it's always for a greater good, even if it feels like crap in the beginning. And I just want to focus on supporting our bodies and focus on the gifts that come with it, even with weight. Like, we don't want to just focus on the number on the scale. I want to focus on how we're feeling and even how we're looking. It's okay to want to look differently and still love yourself. So I really hope you enjoyed this. I'd love to know about your hypothyroid story. Tell me, you know, if you've been diagnosed, maybe if you have symptoms, and just let me know how you're doing. And I really hope you enjoy. And I'm going to start sharing more videos on like what I eat in a day to support my hypothyroidism and for weight loss, because I'm currently, again, loving my body, but I just have a little, you know, a little chubby belly at the lower abs that we're going to see what we can do about it, you know? And I would just love to know what your thoughts are. And I really hope you enjoyed and got something out of this. And I really hope too that you go do something good for yourself, because as I always say, you are number one and you deserve it. Bye.